The cabin was calm, the kind of quiet that comes right before takeoff, when one small decision changed everything. A well-dressed black man sat comfortably in a VIP seat, scrolling through his phone, unnoticed by most of the passengers around him. He wasn't looking for attention. He wasn't causing trouble. But when a white passenger arrived and pointed at him, whispering complaints to the flight attendant, the mood in the plane shifted fast. What happened next stunned everyone within earshot. The crew hesitated, then made a choice that would soon haunt them. Without asking the right questions, without checking the facts, they told the man he needed to leave the VIP seat. Eyes turned. Phones went silent. The man stood calmly, dignity intact, even as humiliation hung thick in the air. No one knew they were watching a powerful black CEO, a leader used to boardrooms, not public judgment. As he stepped into the aisle, something unexpected happened. A quiet phone call, a subtle signal. Faces among the crew began to change. Confidence turned to panic. Authority turned to fear. Because in just a few seconds, the truth was about to come out and, once it did, there would be no way to undo what they had started. The man didn't argue as he moved aside, but his silence carried weight. He glanced once at the VIP seat, then at the faces watching him. Some curious, some uncomfortable, others pretending not to see. To them, he was just another passenger being pushed out of place. No one knew his name, his story, or the company he had built from nothing. Years of discipline, late nights, and impossible choices had taught him one thing: when to speak, and when to wait. The flight attendant's voice trembled slightly as she spoke into the intercom, trying to keep control. The white passenger settled into the VIP seat, acting relieved, yet uneasy. Around them, whispers spread through the cabin. Was it a booking mistake, a policy issue, or something no one wanted to say out loud? The tension grew heavier with every passing second. The black CEO stood near the galley, calmly making a phone call. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't look angry, but his eyes were sharp, focused, as if he was timing something perfectly. A senior crew member noticed and exchanged a glance with the captain's door. Something about this man didn't fit the story they had assumed. That as the plane doors remained open and departure was delayed, a quiet ripple of doubt moved through the crew. Whatever they thought they knew was about to be tested, and the truth was getting closer with every step taken down the jet bridge. From the back rows, a young mother watched the scene unfold, holding her child a little closer. She sensed something was wrong, not loud or dramatic, but heavy. A businessman across the aisle checked his ticket twice, wondering how someone could be removed so easily from a VIP seat without clear explanation. Even the white passenger now sitting there avoided eye contact, his earlier confidence fading as the cabin energy shifted. Near the cockpit, two crew members spoke in hushed tones. One mentioned company policy, the other worried about complaints, social media, and cameras that might already be recording. Delays were costly, but mistakes were worse. Still, no one wanted to admit they may have judged too quickly. The captain listened quietly from behind the door, aware that whatever happened next could follow him long after this flight landed. The black CEO ended his call and slipped his phone into his pocket. He leaned against the wall, calm on the surface, but memories stirred beneath it. Other rooms, other moments where he had been underestimated. He wasn't here to cause a scene, yet he wasn't willing to disappear either. Respect mattered. A notification buzzed on a crew tablet. A name appeared. Then a title. Eyes widened. A supervisor froze somewhere between the jet bridge and the control panel. The balance of power began to shift, but no one knew yet how far the consequences would reach. The supervisor stared at the screen longer than necessary, as if hoping the information would change if she blinked. She looked up at the crew member beside her, then back toward the man standing quietly near the galley. Her posture stiffened. The easy authority she'd carried moments earlier was gone, replaced by something close to fear. Without a word, she tapped the tablet again and started toward the cockpit. Inside the cabin, passengers felt the shift even if they didn't understand it. Conversations stopped. A low hum of curiosity spread as people sensed they were witnessing something bigger than a seating dispute. The white passenger in the VIP seat adjusted his jacket, suddenly aware of how exposed he felt. He glanced toward the aisle, then quickly looked away. The black CEO watched it all with steady eyes. He knew this moment well. A pause before truth surfaces, when assumptions collide with reality. His phone buzzed again, but he didn't answer. Footsteps echoed from the cockpit as the captain stepped out, his face unreadable. He spoke briefly with the supervisor, then looked directly at the man by the galley. Time seemed to slow. A flight attendant swallowed hard. Another clasped her hands together. Somewhere in the cabin, a camera lens lifted slightly. Whatever was about to happen would change the story for everyone on board, and there was no stopping it now. The captain took a slow step closer, lowering his voice so only the nearby crew could hear. He asked the man a simple question, one that sounded routine but carried weight. The black CEO answered just as calmly, offering a brief smile that revealed nothing. That was when the captain's expression changed. He turned away sharply and asked the supervisor to confirm something with headquarters immediately. At the same time, another twist unfolded in the cabin. A man 2 rows back leaned forward and quietly told. A flight attendant. He recognized the CEO from a recent business news interview. His company logo, he said, was on half the tech contracts at his firm. The attendant froze, unsure whether to speak or stay silent. Word began to move, seat to seat, faster than the intercom ever could. The white passenger finally stood, insisting there had been a mistake, that he had done nothing wrong. His voice cracked under the pressure. Cameras were no longer hidden. A phone light flicked on. The delay had now become an audience. Then the supervisor's tablet chimed again. A message marked urgent. She read it once. Then again, her hands shaking. She looked toward the CEO, then toward the crew, realizing this wasn't just about a VIP seat anymore. This was about power, reputation, and a truth that was seconds away from changing everything. The captain cleared his throat and addressed the cabin, his voice steady but tense. He apologized for the delay and asked everyone to remain seated. Then he turned to the man by the galley and spoke his name out loud, along with his title. A quiet gasp moved through the plane. The black CEO nodded politely as the truth finally settled in. The VIP seat wasn't a privilege he'd asked for, it was one he'd paid for, earned, and been wrongly denied. The supervisor stepped forward, her earlier confidence gone, and offered a formal apology. The crew followed, one by one, realizing how close they had come to a public mistake that could damage careers and the airline's reputation. The white passenger stood frozen, embarrassment written across his face, before quietly returning to his original seat. No one said a word, but the message was clear. The CEO was escorted back to the VIP seat, this time with respect filling the space where judgment had been. Passengers watched, some ashamed, others relieved. As balance seemed restored, just as the doors prepared to close, the final twist landed. The captain announced that the airline's board had been notified because the CEO's company was finalizing a major partnership review with this very airline. The flight would take off, but the consequences wouldn't end at landing. And everyone on board knew they had just witnessed a moment that would echo far beyond this cabin. As the plane finally lifted into the sky, the tension slowly drained from the cabin. Conversations resumed, but they were quieter now, more thoughtful. The black CEO sat back in his VIP seat, gazing out the window, not in triumph, but reflection. He accepted another apology from the senior crew member, this one sincere and unguarded. Mistakes had been made, but lessons were learned in real time. In front of everyone. Later in the flight, a flight attendant offered him coffee on the house. He thanked her kindly, reminding her that respect mattered more than upgrades or gestures. A few passengers caught his eye and nodded, a silent acknowledgement of what they had witnessed. The young mother from the back smiled softly, as if relieved her child had seen dignity win without anger. When the plane landed, there were no cameras waiting, no public scene. The airline would handle the fallout internally, and the partnership review would move forward with new awareness and accountability. For the CEO, the moment wasn't about power or revenge. It was about being seen as human before being judged by appearance. As passengers exited, the story lingered with them, a reminder that bias can hide in quiet decisions, and that true authority shows itself not in how loudly it speaks, but in how calmly it stands when tested.